at 4. First, the highlights. Governor Sanwo-Olu parleys all Progressives Congress stakeholders ahead July 12 local government elections. National Security Advisor attributes surge in nationwide violence to hunger, poverty. On the foreign scene, United Nations nuclear chief describes military damage to Iran's facilities as massive. And in sports, Nigeria Basketball Federation announces new kickoff dates for Women's League season. And now, the details. I am Akan Usen. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is scheduled to hold a stakeholders parley with the leaders, elected and appointed officials, and all candidates of the All Progressives Congress in the July 12 Lagos State local government elections on Tuesday, 24th June at the State House Marina at noon. The APC, in a statement signed by its Lagos spokesperson, Sheye Oladejo, says the meeting will serve as the rallying point for mobilization of the party's troops towards the local government elections. According to the statement, Lagos APC acknowledges and appreciates the trust and confidence of Lagosians in the party's progressive philosophy, which explains the continuous, unparalleled, and unprecedented growth across all sectors in the state. It expresses confidence that the landmark achievements of the local government councils in education, primary healthcare, housing, and social interventions, among others, will be rewarded with massive votes at the polls for all the candidates. It will be recalled that the presentation of flags to the 57 APC chairmanship candidates in the elections, which marked the official commencement of campaigns, held last week at the State Party Secretariat at Ogba. The ceremony, which had in attendance who is who in government and party hierarchy, was a morale booster for all party stalwarts for another victorious outing. Lagos State government has announced plans to collaborate with the team from the African Cities Research Consortium, ACRC, as part of efforts to explore various avenues for sustainable urban interventions across the metropolis. Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, who made this known while receiving the ACRC team on a courtesy visit at Alausa, said the collaboration would further improve the commitment to foster inclusive urban transformation and resilience in Lagos State. Wahab said Lagos on the map of Nigeria is just like a dot with a size of 3,575 square kilometers of land, and 1/3 of it is water. He added that the only other state that is on Lagos boundary is Ogun State, saying this is the reason most of the water projects in Lagos State are sited in Ogun State in order to have a clean source of water. In response, the senior management team head of program delivery, ACRC Consortium, University of Manchester, Irene Vance, expressed appreciation for working with the state, saying it is important to tackle the challenges of cities. She said it is necessary to collaborate with subnational governments in order to make a difference in security, transportation, water, sanitation, health, and nutrition, amongst others. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has announced plans to increase tariffs for all service providers operating at its airports as part of efforts to improve revenue generation. Speaking during the Directorate of Commercial and Development Stakeholders Engagement Forum in Lagos, the Director, Commercial and Business Development, FAN, Adebola Agumbiade, said the authority will phase out all cash transactions at payment points, moving towards a fully automated and contactless payment system. Agumbiade said 92% of its current revenue comes from aeronautical sources, while only 8% is derived from non-aeronautical activities, a stark contrast to global standards where non-aeronautical revenue accounts for over 40% in many developed countries. She said this shift marks a critical step in modernizing FAN's operations and rebalancing its revenue structure. Agunbiyade assured that FAN will notify service providers early enough before implementing the tariff increase. And now to the rest of the stories. The National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu says hunger and poverty are the catalysts fueling insecurity, violence, and social disintegration in the country. Speaking at the 14th National Security Seminar organized by the Alumni Association of National Defense College, Ribadu, who was represented by Director Defense Affairs Major General Peter Mala, said this year's theme, combating hunger and poverty for sustainable peace and development in Nigeria, touches at the very heart of national challenges. Ribadu revealed that the administration of President Bola Tinubu is tackling the challenge through prioritization of agricultural reforms, social investment programs, and security sector interventions aimed at breaking the cycle. She said these efforts are visible through increased support for food security initiatives, enhanced law enforcement capacity, and infrastructure to support agricultural production and distribution. In his remarks, Defense Minister Mohammed Badaru called for human-centered security approaches to solving the challenges by addressing the root causes of insecurity, including unemployment, poverty, and social exclusion. Kano State government has unveiled a communication plan to boost demand for reproductive, maternal, newborn, child, and adolescent health and nutrition services across the state. Speaking at the workshop, Commissioner for Health, Abubakar Yusuf, who was represented by the Director General of the Drugs, Medical, and Consumable Supply Gali Sule, said the initiative aligns with the state's commitment to improving health-seeking behaviors, particularly among women, children, and adolescents. Yusuf said strategic communication remains a powerful tool in transforming harmful cultural practices and improving access to essential health services. Stakeholders from government agencies, civil society organizations, youth groups, traditional institutions, and the media participated in the session, which focused on designing an inclusive social and behavior change communication strategy tailored to Kano's health needs. And now to foreign news. United Nations Nuclear Chief Rafael Grossi has estimated that military attacks by Israel and the United States have inflicted considerable damage to Iran's nuclear facilities. Grossi told an emergency board meeting of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog, that craters caused by ground-penetrating United States bombs were visible at Fordow, the cornerstone of Iran's nuclear enrichment program. The IAEA chief said while no one, including the IAEA, is in a position to have fully assessed the underground damage at Fordow, it is expected to be very significant. Grossi also pointed out that the Natanz and Isfahan facilities were bombed by U.S. warplanes and Tomahawk cruise missiles and damaged as well. During the IAEA board meeting, Grossi again emphasized that armed attacks on nuclear facilities should never take place, but did not directly condemn Israel or the U.S. for the attacks. He called for Iran and the U.S. to return to the series of negotiations that were cancelled by the Israeli strikes, warning that violence and destruction could reach unimaginable levels should the conflict persist. Anyway, from all that, now sports. The Nigeria Basketball Federation, NBBF, has announced a new date for the 2025 Women's Basketball League season, with the first phase for two conferences, Atlantic and Savannah. The NBBF, in a letter signed by its Secretary General Amina Amanchi and forwarded to all the participating teams and stakeholders, stated that the Phase 1 games in the preliminaries of the Atlantic Conference will now be played between July 21 and 29 in Benin, Edo State, while that of the Savannah Conference will be between July 28 and August 5 in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Phase 2 of the zonal playoffs in the Atlantic Conference will be played from August 24 to September 1 in Ilorin, Kwara State, while the Savannah Conference playoffs will be held between the same dates in Jos Plateau State. Meanwhile, the National Final 8 will come up in Lagos on a date to be determined by the sponsors of the championship. And that's all for the news at 4. Ensure you make use of your seatbelt while driving. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. On X at Traffic Radio 961, Facebook Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, Instagram Lagos Traffic Radio 961. On YouTube, subscribe and watch us live on our channel, Traffic Radio 961. You can also visit our website on www.trafficradio961.ng. You can also listen to Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM live on My Lagos app for timely updates. Did you know that under the Sanwo-Olu administration, 18,000 teachers were trained under a co-excel? You can get more details on the Lagos State government's website. To end the news, here are the highlights of the major stories. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is scheduled to hold a stakeholders parley with the leaders, elected and appointed officials, and all candidates of the All Progressives Congress in the July 12 Lagos State local government elections on Tuesday, 24th June at the State House, Marina at noon. The National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu says hunger and poverty are the catalyst fueling insecurity, violence, and social disintegration in the country. We also told you that United Nations nuclear chief Rafael Grossi has estimated that military attacks by Israel and the United States have inflicted considerable damage to Iran's nuclear facilities. And in sports, the Nigeria Basketball Federation, NBBF, has announced a new date for the 2025 Women's Basketball League season, with a first phase for 2 conferences, Atlantic and Savannah. For contact with the newsroom, please send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. And that ends the news broadcast compiled by Abiola Fagbolagun. I am Akan Usen. Thanks for listening and please stay safe. Good afternoon.